You can tell this was a while ago. The sun is shining. So the delivery driver arrives off with the X3, get that parked up. That one all runs and drives, so I drove it off there. And then this little car here, little last minute car we're getting to in a later video, is actually a pusher. The engine's hanging out of it, so we had to push that out of the way. Loads his bed up, a little bit of tap dancing here to get the floor back to normal. Welcome back to the channel and a new video. Just arrived in to the SRUK yard. We are trying our hardest to buy some late, lumpy, nice bits of salvage, but we're fighting against everybody else. You got half of the internet saying that the car market's crashed and that they're all peanuts, and you go on Copart and try and tell me that because you can't get near anything.
No, I mean, how many cars?
7 today.
No, but how many did you sell last week?
All
how
of
many
it.
vehicles?
I sold
5 vehicles.
Yeah, a
4
Transit,
vehicles?
the Volvo, the i3, the Corsa, and another little Fiat 500 I had kicking about.
So
they're, as fast as we can get them done, they are going out the door.
But we will only buy them when there's profits
in them.
There's
Absolutely.
No point.
7 cars we've bid on today down at Copart. We've won 3 lovely, nice late cars on approval, and we've just won one 23 reg car. So this is beautiful, and it genuinely is a lovely, lovely car. 2020
That's
70.
Nice. Missed that seal.
It has missed it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
BMW X3, not an M, not an X3 M. It is just a X3 M Sport. They do a 2 litre and a 3 litre. This is only the baby 2 litre, but a lovely, lovely low mileage car with, as you can see, side damage.
Yeah.
I can't remember if this one's category S or N. We'll have a look a little bit later on.
We thought this was a bit worse than it is, but it's only just paint damage, isn't it?
We thought that was a lot worse.
But that is nice. So it's limited to
2 doors.
And it's missed the wing, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think we've been... Well, we're quite fortunate on the panel side, aren't we?
Yes.
Not so fortunate on those curtains.
No.
Someone's gone at them with a pair of scissors.
That's
Rob.
Copart, mate, honestly. Look, if I could just get you to
for
grab
sure,
that.
For sure.
So as soon as they get here to do their images, the bloke's like that, with a knife, out the way and just takes a pic. And they keep doing it, and yet these can be reloaded. They can be, they can't be reloaded now. They're
not now, mate.
They're toast.
What a shame.
Cut right through them. Look how beautiful that car is.
That is a nice bit of car, mate.
Let me fire it up. Airbag's in my way now, get me knife.
At least the drivers and the dash haven't gone off.
Yeah,
though.
no damage in there. The seat belts, I mean, they feel all right, but we know from previous experience.
Yeah, for sure.
You're wasting your time if you think you're going to save it.
Yeah.
Send them off.
Yeah.
So it has done
30.
Yes, 30,700 miles. Heads-up display, proper nice bit of kit, Chris. I don't know any. You can't say anything bad about it. Pedestrian protection, obviously, and all your airbags. Lovely leather steering wheel,
Yeah,
leather
looks like
airbag.
it's been looked after.
It has been looked after. Let's have a little look in the back. Look how nice it all is. That back seat's been pulled up. Someone obviously a bit like-minded like yourself has been in there after a few quid, I reckon, because they've yanked the seat up. So that's all your pound coins gone. Climb it in the back. It is, I reckon it's just fully loaded. It's got everything on it. Electric opening boot.
Yeah.
Parcel shelf, which makes a nice change.
It does make a nice change. We've been missing a couple of them lately.
And they cost a fortune, don't they, to replace. So.
Yeah.
Right, I have just had to pull Chris away from what he's doing because this has arrived and I can't do what Chris is actually working on that smart card. You would have long watched that before this.
That's
but
right,
he's working on that, and I've actually pulled him out and said, let's do our normal little walk around on this.
Yeah.
And I want to get cracking with this because it looks like, sorry Chris, I'm just going to have a quick look because I haven't looked. We bought this on pictures, of course you can't view. But we didn't know if there was any damage in there.
It's
and
all
that side
good,
looks fine.
It's all good, look.
We was expecting
There's
worse
a nice
way.
edge there to mask up to anyway, isn't there?
Yeah.
So there's no damage on that
That's
shut.
and that's actually a trim.
It is a plastic trim, isn't it? Wheel arch.
Yeah, so that's a shame. But
That's good.
this is the one bit we didn't know about. But looking at the state of that door, and I think that's confirmed. I did just come in and say to you, we got lucky.
We have.
It's
No
absolutely
damage
fine.
at all.
So we need to find a pair of doors for this
And
and
curtains.
get all of these seat belts, curtain, airbag, try and get that roof lining back into shape. Yeah, I think I'm going to crack on and start stripping some of this out, and then get on the phone, start making some calls and try and find the doors. But this is the latest shape, I believe, so probably bits are going to be a nightmare to find, aren't they? I'm not too concerned about that, Chris. I think that's where that's pulled that in. Yeah, it's just pulling that out, isn't it?
For sure.
Let's get it in the yard, mate. It's a nice day. I'm going to do it in the yard, I think.
Okie dokie, mate.
So, of course, quick Carvertical on this one. BMW X3 Diesel 2020. Odometer green, financial and legal green, damaged clearly highlighted there in amber. Let's hit that amber triangle and it takes us straight to the damage section. This vehicle was damaged and marked as an insurance write-off. Scrolling a little further down, and the written off date rather, of the 11th 2023. Category S repairable structural damage. And I would go as far as to say they couldn't be any further wrong. There's no way this car is a Category S. There is no structural damage on it whatsoever. It is purely panels and airbags, so that's a bit unbelievable, but hey ho, it is what it is. And if it was a Category N, I'd have probably had to have paid more money for it. Of course, on the Carvertical check, you got your overview, your theft, odometer, financial and legal, your damage section, emissions, specs, and the helpful little timeline. So 4 records found there, the registration date, an inspection date, and damage detected. We got no other information there on timeline. I want to thank Carvertical for the continued support on the channel. To benefit from a large discount off your check, use the code up on screen now or click the link in the description where it will automatically apply your discount. And straight in the yard and start the process of taking all of the bits out of this car. You've got A posts, B posts, C posts, all of it's got to come out in order to get that roof lining down. You've got all of the trims and bits and pieces around the rear seat belts. All of that's got to come off. There is a lot of stuff, but I've got a big black box out there. I can stick all of that in while I remove it all. And once I've got it all removed, of course I know where all the parts are because they're going to be in that box at a later date. That's the 2 rear seat belts out, and this one here in particular from the driver's side actually retracted. I mean, it might not even be that one, it may be this one, but one of them actually retracted in, was making quite an awful clicking noise when I was removing it, and it won't actually come out. So they are definitely going to want doing, and of course they are the M Performance seat belts. So they've got the red, dark blue, the light blue stripe in them, and these will need to get sent off and get repaired. I did stop the time lapse. I don't want it to be too repetitive. We're trying to change things around a little bit, but I've got to this stage without filming it anymore. So I've just gone along and moved all of the roof handles. Let's just show you because I've left a couple on the seat here. So you've got your A-pillar trim, which just has the one screw in it. I've removed that. And of course the one from the other side. You've got your little grab handle, so you remove these little black caps out inside, and then you can see they're just an up and down clip, so little tiny flat ended, and they pull out okay. So we've got those out, and of course your sun blinds as well. You just got one little wire that plugs in there, and again these had no screws in them. It was just a couple of little clips, and then you squeeze them in and out they pop. The wiring you can see is just there. So I've just poked that one back up, and I've got the roof lining to that stage. Now the roof lining, fortunately, is not damaged. You can see, if I really highlight and point out, can you see those 2 lumps? So you've got one there and one there. But once this roof lining has got new curtain airbags in it, and it is all back together, and that is all, I mean, it's probably the same this side actually. Yeah, you can see that lump there. Once this is actually all clipped back in and it's in its rubber, that will retain its original shape and it'll be perfect. But I mean, look, there's a slice there. I'm not really sure what they was, maybe they went to cut them out and just thought, oh well, that'd be good enough. But yeah, such a shame I do cut them out, but it is what it is. They're going to need replacing. I'm just going to continue on. The B posts, I haven't even taken these out yet, and there's no need to take them out because the roof lining's popped over the top of the airbag, if that makes sense. So you can see the roof, the curtain airbag's actually popped out and pushed that out of its original place. So I'm just going to continue on. I'm going to get these curtains removed, hopefully without pulling the whole roof lining out. If I do need to pull it out, it's not going to be the end of the world, and we'll get that secured in the container nice and safe until the new ones turn up. And of course, unbolt the curtain airbags as well. Let's continue on. Little progress update. All 4 seat belts, both curtain airbags, they're for the bin. And the seat, I forgot to mention this earlier, the seat actually blew off, but they're not like old seats. If you look, there's not actually any foam there. Well, a very, very slight padding there, but there's not actually any foam behind there. This used to split all this foam open all the way down here, and you can see this is made up completely different to that. And if you look, it has just popped the stitching all the way down. So I got very, very lucky there with the seat. Last little job to do today is actually get that centre console out. A couple of little torques in there. There was 2 10mm down here I've just removed. Now I'm going to go on and remove this. This is going to be very similar to the M4, so very, very difficult to get off. Very, very tight clips. You've got to be a little bit forceful with it, but also be careful at the same time, if that makes sense. Let's get on and get that out, and then hopefully get it all sent off and get the parts we need. That's a lot holding that centre console in. These are really, really well built, and they didn't want no rattling, that's for sure. So those 2 10s at the back, then you can see there's 2 10s in there. And then once you've removed that, you've got 4 star drives, so you can see your little screw there, and then up there and now. You remove that, and then you've got another 2 10s under there. And I thought, well, let's try and lift that, and it was actually moving up and down, but it won't come out. Then I noticed you got another 2 10 nuts up there. So that is all now undone. But the 10s in there, and those, yeah, just those 10s there actually, there's a cage underneath there that goes over the airbag module, and the cage bolts down with those 13s. You can see on those big 13s there, and there's a little 10 in the middle. That's where the airbag module was bolted. So the airbag module's out. I think we're all good there. That's all the curtains removed, and all of the parts are now there on the floor. It took a good couple of hours to get all that out, but that is it now. I'm going to get all that lot sent off, and we're going to pick up when they come back. Airbag Service Limited we're using on this one. I didn't even know it was a thing, but these guys actually come out and fit airbag kits outside people's houses or garages. They actually come out and fit them. They had a technician, this guy here, in the area, and said to me yesterday, yeah, he's going to be in your area tomorrow, Rob. We get him to stop by and pick up your stuff. So they're picking up the seat belts and the module, and of course when they return these, they're going to bring new curtain airbags. But look at this, he's like, oh, I've got to wrap it all up, make sure it stays safe, doesn't get any scratches or damage on it, which is lovely, isn't it? Nice to see. Anyway, let's well, just await for them to come back all repaired, and we'll have a look, see what they look like. And a couple of days later, Airbag Service Limited arrive with the airbags back, and look at that seat. You could never tell that's been repaired, could you?
Our guys are doing a nice job.
They're doing a beautiful job. I can't believe that. It just makes sense. Normally we have to get an airbag, then we have to send the seat to somebody we know, get the seat repaired, bring it back, fit the airbag, do it ourselves. So to have it all done in one place, we really appreciate it. And new curtain airbags, all of our seat belts back reset, and our module. Huge thank you to them guys. Of course there is going to be a link in the description down below, and they're going to be our go-to place from now on, having it all done in one place. Let's get these fitted. It's been well over a week now, and this is how I left it. But of course the bits, they had to be repaired, didn't they? They had to be turned around. They are all now here, and I need to crack on just while it's still a little bit fresh in my mind and get this all put back together. I don't recall whether I mentioned earlier in this video that we're absolutely having a nightmare trying to find a pair of doors for this car. I just cannot find them. I thought I'd found the right ones in the right colour. There was a long way away. I was going to do the 6-hour round trip to go and get them. And the guy was saying, yep, these are definitely the ones for your car. He's got the wheel arch. I thought this is going to be great in colour. And it actually turned out they was for an X5, and we was having a conversation and didn't even realise this is an X3. So I've spoken to Drew, and these doors are actually cheaper to buy new than they are to buy second hand anyway, but buying new comes with a lot of work. All of the insides have got to be painted. You've got all of this to strip off. There is so much work to do there with 2 new doors, but we got no choice. I cannot find doors for it, so I'm literally gonna get on with this, and I'm gonna order these doors today, and I'm gonna have them delivered directly to Smart Services over at Maidstone, and I'm gonna get them to actually do all the insides of them. I may even get them like I did previously on Chris's Discovery 5 to just paint the doors. It's got to go back and have this done anyway, so they can paint that and then blend it into the front wing. Anyway, we need to get on with the job in hand. As you can see, it is everywhere. I kept the old airbags because I thought I might need these clips, but the new airbags actually come with them. So let's get all this removed out and get on with it. So straight into it here, it's been a week. Get that box removed with all of the bits and pieces in it. Get the airbags out, the curtain airbags, get them ready to locate. There's 5 or 6 clips along each of the curtain airbags. There's also a little Torx bit, a little star drive on the both ends, so 4 altogether for both curtains. 2 little wiring plugs, plug those in, and it's time for that roof lining to go up. There's no reason for that to come back down at all. And that is the roof lining all back together. Now, I did mention this earlier in the video about the shape of the roof lining would all go back to normal, and you can see apart from that little bit there, and then you've got a little tiny bit here, but I will wipe a bit of damp water over that, damp warm water, once this is all in, and it will be fine. Oh, there is a little bit of a mark. That's the same mark, isn't it? I'm zoomed in far too far. But I'm going to continue on and get the back seat belts fitted. You right there, Chris? Yep. Chris working on something in the background now. I'm going to get all of the seat belts fitted, and then I'm going to move on to that module. But I'll be the first to admit it when I make a mistake. Now, I actually took this module out of the car, and it was a nightmare to get it out. A nightmare. You had to undo a metal cage, remove the metal cage, and then that was underneath it. And I did not need to remove that. And remember, if you ever do a BMW, they actually said to me, you do not remove the module, they reset in the car. So a bit of a boo-boo there, and all that stripping out on the centre console was completely unnecessary. But it will never happen to me again, will it? Let's carry on and get these seat belts fitted. So straight onto the passenger seat belt. Again, it's nuts and bolts. You got a big star drive at the bottom, you got one at the top, and there's 2 little small ones with a metal bracket that hold it in place there on the actual B pillar itself. Get all the B pillar trims on, C pillar trims. You got to go through and put all of these on now. They hold the roof lining up. I know there's only so much you want to see on time lapse, and so much I can actually show before you go, yeah, I've had enough of that, Rob, that's a bit boring. So driver's seat belt is all back in, all back together. All of the cowlings, everything's back together. And again, exactly the same with this side. They're actually non-adjustable, which makes life very, very easy. A lot easier when it comes to putting all of this on. But as you can see, there's a couple of little tiny bit more there. That's it. As you can see, all of that is all back together. I think before I move on to the back seat belts, because it's getting quite late actually, we don't normally work this late, I'm going to concentrate on get that module fitted back in that centre console and actually build some of that back up, and then I can move into the back seat belts. And the back seat belts are quite a lot of work, even though they are there. The rest of the car's fitted up. All of that stuff has got to go in the back, and it is a bit of a nightmare to set up, especially that side as like a release for the parcel shelf. So I am going to concentrate and try and get that airbag module put back in and get all that built up. But I remember when I took it out, I did hurt my hands. That was tight. Anyway, no whinging, let's just get on with it and get it done. And onto this centre console, I do feel like a bit of a fool with this, because he did say, yeah, you don't take centre consoles out of modern cars to get the module out. You just don't need to. You can reset them. And to be fair, I didn't realise that, but we didn't have to do the dash in this, so there was no reason for me to take that out. It is what it is, and it's done now. And you can see I made quite light work of getting it all back together. So go off and get the driver's side seat, and I think that's going to be the final part of the puzzle. Don't know what I was whinging about. That actually went in a lot easier than it come out. And do you know what? It's very simple to do. All of that whole lot, you won't believe it. It's got 3 wires on it, 3 little plugs. You got one that plugs in here. You got one that plugs into the handbrake, and then you got one that plugs in for these buttons. The gear stick's completely separate. That's got its own little plug. And then up under there, underneath this, there was 4 little screws, 2 screws in there. Very simple. It's all plugged back in. All the back, sorry, not all the back, the seat's all back in, and that's perfect. I still can't get over that seat. Let me just show you one last time. How are you ever going to tell that that seat went off? You're not, are you? I made sure I got the seat belts facing the right way for you all today. I didn't want to get told off for it. In that M4 they was like that. Someone said, yeah, you've put them in round the wrong way. But anyway, the last thing to do now, well, I'll put these seat base and that back in, is actually get all these seat belts located. So I'm going to crack on and get that done. On a side note, we can mention that, can't we? Because it's complete. Chris has just pulled that Fiat 500 out. While he was parking next to me, look at all the glass up there. The window went bang, exploded. I was like, what's that? Well, I was putting the seat belts in. Anyway, let's carry on and get these 2 seat belts fitted. Get all of these plastic trims back in here. So just onto the back seat belts now, and it's passenger side rear, and it's 1 bolt that holds that in. Pull the seat belt through. You got 1 anchor bolt underneath the seats, 1 electrical plug. Excuse me. Then it is all clips, trims, and it's all pushed together stuff. It is all quite straightforward from here. Exactly the same on the driver's side. And I think we are done and ready to have a look. It's o'clock in the evening, but we done it. Just about got it all finished. And of course, we're going to have a look in the morning because it's far too dark. But it is all back together. Like I say, it is dusk. I don't even know why I did the cutting. Let's wait and have a look in the morning. I am so glad I stayed behind last night and got this one finished, because it was so nice to come in this morning and actually see it all done. All back together. It is a bit mucky in there. It does need a good vacuum out. But all the rear seat belts, they're all back in, all bolted in, all clipped in, all done. Tailgate, boot lid, the boot rather, all the little lights all back on, all plumbed in, everything's all back together. You can't beat an electric tailgate, can you? They're a genius idea, they're brilliant. I mean, you can't see it brilliantly, but you can see the roof lining just about there. There's a little mark in it. Again, I'm going to rub a damp cloth over that, and it does help. I've done it plenty of times before. And then inside, the only fault that this car had was restraint system. Oh, and the mileage, you're all going to want to know, 30,762. So restraint system kept coming up on here, but we start it up. See, all of the lights come on there, everything. And then everything goes out. The only reason I've got the key there is because it comes up with your location. Completely happy with it. Every single thing in here is working. I haven't tested things like the USB and the wireless charging, but I've plugged them all back in, so I'll test that in a minute when I get off of this camera. But it is all back together, and couldn't be more chuffed with it. Right, now a lot of you spotted this. It's been here for a few weeks. You've all seen it in and out, other cars in and out, and so many people across all of the other videos, like they normally do, say, what's that car in the background? What's the story? I spy, there's a BMW in the background, there's this, there's that. And the reason why it has been here for so long, and it was only that stuff inside to do, and these doors, was I've been trying for weeks to get 2 second-hand doors for this car, like I previously mentioned. And this was going to be one video. Do all the airbags, get the doors for it, get the doors on, have the bit of paintwork done, crunch the numbers, and out the door in one video. But just like usual, it don't work out the way you planned it. It's no big deal. I've ordered them now. They're being delivered directly to Smart Services. So all that means is you're going to get another video on this car. If you enjoyed this video, we'd appreciate you hitting that thumbs up. Of course, it's free of charge and we completely appreciate it. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Also, that is free of charge. And if you want to follow us on Instagram for the daily sneak peeks, it's Salvage Rebuilds. And Chris has got his little personal one where he goes boot fairs, markets and all sorts of places. If you want to watch him on there, at Salvage Rebuilds Chris. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share on all your social networking sites. And we'll see you very, very soon in the next one.